All right, second video that I'm making today. I want to talk to you about a little bit about the direction of the church and some core principles, some core values. This isn't quite business and vision, but it kind of falls into those categories. And that is, Jason and I have been discussing quite a bit. I've had some conversations with a couple of our elders and some other people who are mentors to us in ministry, as we have sensed in the last several months that the church is starting to feel like there's some momentum. God continues to bring people to visit with us, and some of them choose to stay. I'm going to talk about that towards the end of this. There's an important component there that we must get into place that will help us with that, and maybe you can help us with that. But at its core, one of the things that we've recognized for a long time, and I think is more true now than it's ever been, is that the lives of the people in our community are so busy. I don't know about your life, but mine feels very busy, and I know that mine is not nearly as busy as some of yours and some of your friends, especially younger families, and all the. It's wrapped up in a lot of things. There's trying to do good things with kids and have good opportunities and activities for children. There's the pressures of the finances of the culture today that are just different than they were even 5 years ago, 10 years ago for sure. Life is not the same for a lot of the people around us and for a lot of you. Money's harder, time seems harder, energies are different in the way that we're able to engage in the activities of our lives. And I don't have an explanation for all of those. I just don't. But I feel them with you and struggle with some of those same things. And one of the things that we recognize, and this has always been true of Christ Community Church, is that we're not a program-heavy church. We don't have 100 things for you to choose from to spend your time doing. And part of that is because we're not a very big church. The largest we've ever been consistently was about 150 to 160 people. Just right before COVID, we were running about 120 on Sunday mornings and growing. And then, we've kind of struggled back and forth since then between 50 and 100 people on a regular Sunday. And like many churches, we often joke that if everybody showed up on the same day at the same time, we'd just about fill the place, and that's wonderful. But what that also tells us is that it's difficult to fit everything into the schedule of our lives, and that sometimes includes Sunday morning church. Now, I of course encourage you to make Sunday morning church a priority. It's just an hour and a half. By the time it's all, you get there early and then you hang around and chat with somebody and leave. I think it's important for the life of a believer. I think it's important for the life of the church, and as we try to pursue ministry together. And so I encourage you to be there as often as possible. There was a time when regular church attendance really meant that you were going to be there every Sunday. And that was true in my life and Karen's life before we were in full-time ministry. That was what we did. But there were a lot of other activities that went along with that as well. We were involved in visitation and choir and youth ministry and extra events, and pretty much our whole world revolved around that outside of our regular jobs. And that model just really doesn't exist in a healthy way anymore, I don't think. And so we have always been a church that's very picky and choosy about how much activity we have, because what we really desire is for you and I to come together for Sunday worship and be re-energized, to worship in a way that can only happen in the context of being together with other believers and doing this thing that kind of only happens in church culture, which is lift our voices together and sing to God, and then share the word, someone teaching and sharing some of the word with us in a way that the Bible calls foolishness. It says that preaching is foolishness, but God chooses to use it, and He does. And then we take that and we go out into our lives, into the world, and try to take that encouragement and that re-energizing with us. And then in tandem with that, we have always had a very, very strong belief that true growth, true discipleship truly becoming who God wants you to be in that day to day requires more than Sunday morning attendance, and especially if your life is such that Sunday morning attendance is not super regular. You might have work that takes you away. You might have other life circumstances that do that. You might have a job that just really keeps you out working for a long time on Saturday night, and Sunday morning is hard. We get all of that. And I don't want you to feel any shame or guilt about living the life that you have in a way that ministers to you and to your family as you take care of your responsibilities. I encourage you to make sure that you're setting your priorities for your spiritual life as well as that practical part of your life at a high priority. So the thing that goes in tandem with, I want to see you engaging with other believers in worship as often as possible, is that you are involved, whether it's through the church or through another organization that is healthy and good, in some sort of smaller group environment where you can build friendships that are healthy, talk about spiritual things and the Bible, learn the Bible in a more intimate way than Sunday morning can prepare you for, a sermon can prepare you for, and then have that engagement that really focuses on the relationship of being with other believers. And, we've had a bunch of different, what we call them, life groups over the last 20 years. And there have been life groups centered around, just doing good things in the community, the Everyday Kindness group. There have been life groups centered around games, playing games together, sports activities, book study groups, Bible study groups, specifically for Bible study, food, just about any interest, or we call them affinity groups, have been around at one time or another when people were interested in doing those things. And that's the purpose that those are supposed to serve. They can be Bible studies, and all of them should have a spiritual component. But I want to start to put into your mind, maybe more than ever in the culture we're in right now, while we have Sunday morning where we sing praise and worship together, and we express that in a way that we can't do alone because we're with other believers, and a teacher called by the Lord takes the word, and we call that exposits the word, takes some word and sort of breaks it open and tries to dig into the deep meaning of what's there in the text. Those are important, and I think you should engage in those as much as possible. The other component I think that our culture needs, you need, and I need more than anything, is this relational connection. Sometimes we can get that in our family, but even with family, sometimes we might need a connection that's outside of that so that we can talk about and reason and dream about some of those things that are in our family that we can't necessarily work out with that other person. By the way, that's my bird, Karen's birds over there. Every time I start talking, they start talking too. So that's who that is. And so we have, for instance, the men's breakfast coming up on the 14th, 9 o'clock, Saturday morning, September 14th. And I know there's a handful of you that are going to come and help me cook, be watching your email for some information about how that's going to go. And it's open to any guys. They don't have to be members of the church. They can just be your friends. We really want to see young and old. Even, most of the time little kids won't necessarily be interested, but my boys came to the men's breakfast when they were little because they liked the food, and they didn't necessarily hang around for the prayer time, which we do together. And don't be intimidated by that. We don't call on everybody to pray. We just share things together that we want to pray about, and someone prays in that way. We have a short Bible study that someone will bring, and this month it's going to be Keith Goodrum, which I'm so excited about. He's done it for us before, and I love the way God speaks through him, and that's going to be fantastic. But the breakfast is just a vehicle to build relationship, which I think is what we need and our community needs more than anything, is relationship. We launched our discipleship mentor ministry last spring, And folks are still meeting in those one-on-one environments, those one-on-one mentor-mentee spiritual relationships. And the Bible studies that they're doing, or material that we have given them, material that they found, that's the vehicle. But the key is the relationship. And so I want to encourage you, men, come and hang out with us. Enjoy the community and the relationship, and see what God can do with the spiritual part of that. And bring a friend. Ladies, you have the same opportunity coming up on that same day, September 14th. And it's this group that in history has been called the Ladies' Craft Day. Sheila Collins is leading that effort right now, and she wants to rebrand that. And as only God can do, she came to me and said, I want to rebrand this. At exactly the same time, Jason and I were talking about how we need to cast a different vision for what these activities do. And so I know that was God speaking to her as he was speaking to us. And so we're gonna rebrand that. You'll see that coming out in the advertising. It's the Better Together ladies group. Now, are there going to be ladies there who are doing scrapbooking and crafts and knitting and sewing and whatever else? Probably. But if you're not into that, that doesn't mean you can't come and be part of it. And this is the point. Whatever the craft thing is or was, that's the vehicle. I have some filing sitting right here on the floor next to me that if I came to the Better Together ladies group, I could bring my filing, and while we're sitting there chatting about life and getting to know one another better and learning to trust one another in a relationship with Christ and hearing some spiritual insight, I could be doing my filing so that I'm not trying to hammer it all out when the taxes come due next year. It could be anything. It could be nothing. Maybe your life is so busy that what you really need is you could use a couple of hours where you have no responsibilities except to sit around, enjoy some snacks, and laugh, and talk, and cry, and dream. That's the point. If you're more comfortable with a set of knitting needles and a skein of yarn in that context, bring it with you. If you got a small engine out of your weed whacker that you're tearing down and rebuilding, bring it with you. Those are just the vehicle to get together. The point is the relationship. And then we also have the ladies' book group, which meets on Monday nights. I'm not sure exactly where they're at right now in their activities. I'll have to, you'll need to watch our publications, Facebook page, Instagram, newsletter that'll be coming out next week. We'll have information on that about what they're doing right now and exactly when they're meeting. But it has been, I believe it's on Monday nights. And it's just a great collection of probably some of the same faces that you would see at the Better Together ladies group, and some different faces than you would see there. And they're centered around a book, reading a book together, spiritual-minded book, and discussing that. But hear me, that's the vehicle, not the purpose. The purpose is relationship and growing in relationship with one another and personally as followers of Jesus Christ. And so that leads me to two final things on this section about this relational component of the church. We've been praying towards children's ministry, and we still are, because we still don't have a person that God has revealed to us or led to us to kind of be the center point of this children's ministry that we know that we must have going into the future. We have some wonderful volunteers Jason has organized, and I think we have someone who's going to come along and help sort of shepherd that through the school year for Sunday mornings, Kids World. Now that is very program-oriented. It is relational to a degree, but it's very program-oriented because it does this. It tells parents that they have a place to come on Sunday morning where they can engage in worship, lift their voices and sing, get to know other adults and hopefully other parents, hear the word spoken, preached, and there's something for their children that they can trust and that is good for them. The vision for that person who comes in and is the center point of that, the leader, children's ministry leader, is someone who can then also take and begin to develop and plan and execute some activities outside Sunday morning for families to come together, and whether it's jumping around in a bouncy house or clearing the auditorium and riding bikes around in the middle of December, whatever, soapbox races, I don't care, honestly, because whatever the activities are, that's a vehicle. It's the train that gets people into the station where they hang out and grow together in relationship and grow in relationship with Christ. So that's what we're praying towards, and I want you to pray with us specifically about that, because I think our timing is very critical in this right now. And I'm not at all worried about it, but I want us to be intentional, because I want God to show us what he wants to do and and how we get there from here. And I'm expectant he's going to. There's just no question about that. And then finally, I know this is long. I hope you've stuck in with me this whole time. You get to hear me talk too often anyway, so apologies. But this is where we are. This is a critical time for us here as we go into the fall. Sunday mornings, we're back to that. Okay, coming full circle. Sunday mornings. Super important for you to be involved in that as much as you can as a worshiper, right? To receive and engage and be blessed, Lord willing, and encouraged, Lord willing, and learn, Lord willing, together with other believers. Our most successful season in growing as a church numerically has been pre-COVID, just before that disaster. We had a group of people, about 6 to 8 people, who were committed to being there early every Sunday, spend time with one another, there's the relationship, as a team, and then we're dedicated to making sure that every person who walks into that building, onto our campus, is welcomed, is encouraged, knows where to find whatever it is they need to find, whether it's the bathroom, the coffee, the hot chocolate, the children's ministry. We will restart again soon our children's ministry check-in station, where families check their kids in and then they're checked out when they leave as a security system. When we are able to expand into more classrooms, particularly, we will do that. But that greeting position, that welcome person, we need men and women. We need folks of all ages. You only have to be comfortable with basically saying, "Hi, I'm Tracy. It's great to have you here this morning. Anything you need, you let me know. We got coffee back here in the back for you if you're into that sort of thing. The kids want a hot chocolate. There's some stuff back there too. There's bathrooms down both sides of the hallway. Come on in, relax, find a seat, and really glad you're here." That's kind of it. We encourage them to fill out a Connect card, but we don't twist anybody's arm. We'll hand them one. And I cannot express to you how critical this is as we see this rise in people visiting. Because understand with me, friends, 99% of the time, when someone visits a new church, we get one opportunity. I wish that wasn't true, because sometimes it feels unfair, because some Sundays things don't go as well as they do other Sundays. Sometimes it's just an off week. It doesn't matter. The reality is, people are nervous when they come to a new place, and what they want more than anything is to know that they're safe, they're welcome, and they matter. And it doesn't mean that they'll all stick and come around the next time and choose us as their church. But here's what I know from past experience 100%. If we don't accomplish that, we won't be the place 99% of them choose to stick around. We have to change that paradigm. It's been a struggle for us to keep that going. So we need someone who wants to love that, kind of be the spark plug for that, and marshal a team of volunteers. I need you to consider, to pray. Are you supposed to be one of those volunteers who can show up at 10:30 consistently on Sundays and be ready to be welcoming and kind to the people who visit? It's something we must do. And I'll tell you this, as important as I think children's ministry is, which is at the top of the priority list, this one thing is right there with it. It's so important, I can't tell you how much. So, all of this makes me very excited. Christ Community Church is such a great place, and you are such wonderful people. I can't believe that this is what I get to do, that you honor me by allowing me to be a pastor to you, and that God lets me do that. I'm thankful for it every single day, and you make me thankful for it. I want you to catch this vision and this passion towards the future, and let's go together and do together the things that will help Christ Community Church grow and be healthy, because growth, numeric growth, I have no interest in people thinking how great I am because the church is growing, big church. I don't care about any of that. Numeric growth means we have more people who are hearing the authentic Word of God, experiencing life in Christ that is satisfying, and are building relationships with one another and with their family that are foundationally planted in life with Christ. I want to see as many people as possible do that. I want to see people come to know Christ who don't yet know Him, and then watch their lives get radically changed by His goodness, like mine has been. And I hope yours has been too. So let me know. Where do you want to plug in?